Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Mikey Wine here, and I am Gundam Morning Works, and we are live. This is part 4 of the Queadluun Rau and Max Batteroid diorama project. Yeah, most of the principal paint is about 60%, 70% maybe done on the Rau. Max, the Batteroid, I've disassembled that, getting ready for primer. So let's get started. Alrighty, yeah, boys and girls, it's Wednesday, hump day. How's everybody doing? Right? Good? Me too. Kind of tired. I struggled to sleep last night. Had some, I was coughing a little bit, so get me up. So I'm kind of tired, but we're gonna press on. We're gonna press on. So before I go to the bench, just give you an idea where we're at. I took the Queadluun Rau apart and disassembled, did primer. A lot of the paint, there's a few pieces that I have to address some seams on, so I did not. Hey, what's up, George? George in the room, how you doing? Mr. Old School Gunpla himself. What would Vino be without a little bit of Vino, right? All right. So I got about, like I said, about maybe 60, 70% paint done. I got a couple seams I have to address because I had to paint some of the interiors of like the arms and the legs in black before I press them together, and then I'll mask all that off when I do paint the outside. So to see what is going on here, we'll go down to, let's just go down to the bench here. We'll do a close up here in a second. So I got the leg sections here. The thigh I had a major seam all the way through the middle of it. That's all done and painted. And then, like I said, I had to do black interiors here. This also has this piece. This is also painted in steel. That covers up the back of the leg. So there's really not a whole lot that you can see in here. I did those in black as well, not realizing it's pretty much going to be covered up completely. Mostly just the bottom of the foot. And then this is the arm section here. Vino with Vino. Yes, of course. Let's go down a close up here. So I had to paint these in black, you know, the elbow section here, and then the hand and the this is where the barrels stick out for the wrist, I guess wrist weapons, you would say. So that's all going to be, I'm going to do these over in primer. I'll hit these with black again, and then I'll stuff some foam in there, and then I'll be able to paint this or reprime it and check my seams again. So that's part of the process is seam removal. It's lather, rinse, repeat. You address the seam, you prime it, you fix it again, you prime it again, you fix it again, you keep doing it until it's fixed. And for the most part, I've been pretty good. I had a couple of little seams on the main torso, body section that I had to kind of sand down a little bit. That's why I like using surfacer, because it works really well at filling some of those gaps. I'll show you here's the pretty much the whole back section. This is the front. This is where the pilot will sit in here, and I'll show you the cockpit in a second. But there was a seam going across the top of each one of the shoulders here, and then down the side. Some of it was covered up with this cap piece. So I didn't have to do too much there, just a little bit here, a little bit, and then around the bottom. Pretty easy to seal up. And the fit is really nice, so there wasn't a whole lot there. I did just discover one new seam that I'm going to have to address on the cockpit section, and I'll show you that. Actually, let me just keep this here for now. I'm going to take the booklet here so can have something to sit on that doesn't scratch my paint. So this is the majority of the cockpit section assembled. Now there are two colors here. This is kind of a, it's what is it, 114? It's actually, let me see what it's called here. It's Mr. Color 114. It's a red, but it's an FLM 23 something something red, but it kind of has that orangey look to it. And that's the interior. That's the whole interior of the cockpit. I'm not going to be putting the pilot figure in because I'm really not going to have these open. I may end up painting her just to have it, you know, for display purposes, but realistically, everything's going to be closed up for this diorama. Anyway, the seams I was talking about was right across the top of the shoulder strap. I thought this was going to be covered up. But this piece, the way it's installed, these steel tabs here go inside of these slots. Okay, you kind of work them in there. Hang on a sec. Once you get it, there you go. Once you get it in, it goes right in, and then it kind of pops right into place. But you see they're exposed here. So I'm going to have to sand this down, mask off some of this cockpit area, and then repaint that red. I just ordered some more paint because this is actually a custom color from Hasegawa, and the combination is, let's see here, I've got it, one sec, I got it covered up. This is basically the paint chart for this whole kit. Open this up, you can see pretty much everything here. So this paint is number 181, which is russet, 50% with number 100 wine red at 50%. So I mixed up, I used up all of my wine red. I have nothing left in case I make a mistake. Fortunately, I have enough paint to keep making these little, you know, repaints as I adjust these seams and get it fixed. I still have enough. I don't think I'm going to run out, but I did just order some new paint from Michigan Toy Soldier because they were the only ones that had some of the colors I needed, or at least they said they did until I placed the order. And apparently some of those are not available until later this week, so I still haven't had it shipped yet. But at any rate, I think I have enough to get everything painted. You know, just the arms and the legs here. That's really the only thing I have left to paint. Everything else has at least the initial coat on and ready for post-assemble. So I'm going to take this back out because I have to do the panel lining and stuff on this first before I install it. But one of the things I've been talking about doing is the anime paint scheme. So I'm not too concerned, you know, about the finish because it's going to be redone. It's going to be flat coated eventually. And I'm going to show off some of the things I just bought. We'll show and tell later some of the paint pen set that I just bought from Posco. Is it Posco or Pasco? I think it's Posco. Posco. Yeah, P-O-S-C. Oh, Posca. P-O-S-C-A. Anyway, I bought a big set of those, so I've got a lot of colors to choose from. And I was kind of practicing on one of my old Hainu kits, and I'll show that here in a second. And just kind of get the idea of how to. Hey, what's up, Lou? How are you? How you doing? Good to have you. Appreciate you. So I was practicing on the old Hainu kit. It's the original Hainu, not the Verka that I have. But anyway, just to kind of get the idea of how to apply the colors and get that anime paint look. You know, I want that anime cell shaded look. One of the things I did do here is I put a little bit of purple. You can see right on the hip joint here, because the screenshot that I've taken a few of them for this, and I'll show these here. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so you see, like the red, the shadowing is done with black and like a purple. That's true with any of the slides that I've. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So any of the screenshots that I've taken, you can kind of see that purplish color. So I wanted to see, there's a purple in the kit or in the box of colors, and it might just be dark enough to do this, especially when they dry flat, which is nice. But I'm going to end up gloss coating everything initially to... Angel just sent me an image. I'm going to end up gloss coating everything to kind of level out those layers, because the paint pans are, the paint is not really thick, but it's certainly thicker than an airbrush. I'm good, Lou. I'm really good. Actually, I'm a little tired. I was talking about that earlier. I had a rough sleep last night for some reason. I started coughing, and I thought, gosh, I just got over COVID again a few weeks ago, and I thought, not again, but I feel pretty good right now. I just didn't have very good sleep, so I'm kind of tired, but we'll be fine. So I took a couple screenshots of this, and I'm going to use this as reference. But you see that it's either purple or a really dark blue, or kind of a brightish blue. So I've got several colors to choose from in that box. And then, of course, let me go back out here, because we're going to use... I'm going to do Max, of course, in the batteroid, and I'm going to have a lot more flat surfaces there, a little bit easier to reproduce. I think the curved surfaces is a little bit challenging, and so that's why I picked that Hold a Hainu kit, because I wasn't really worried. It's so old, and it's all hand painted, really just not very good. So I wasn't too worried about using that as a test bed to try to get an idea of how to do this while using paint pens, rather than masking and painting it that way. So I got a few more, like I say, the front of the foot here, or front of the leg, I got a seam here. This is what's nice about this. There's actually a trim piece down the center, so that pretty much takes this entire seam. There's no fix I have to do there in the back. Just the front here is really all, and then the arms, I had a little bit here, a little here, and then this entire top there. The most interesting part, or the most challenging part, is there are some recessed grooves here. Now those will have decals or paint, covering those recessed areas in black. I'll probably end up using the decals. It's just easier to paint those in, rather than painting them in. I'd have to maybe do a reverse wash or something. But either way, I think I'll try the decals first and see if that works best. The rest of the markings, I don't have to necessarily put them on, because when you're doing this anime scheme, they don't have a lot of the emblems and stuff on the kit. But I don't know, I kind of like it, so I'm gonna add as much as I can without going too overboard with that. Anyway, so tonight I'm going to do some of the panel lining here, and most of the panel lining. Try to get most of this the cockpit done, and then I used some CA glue here to fill it, because there was a significant gap. Not a huge gap, just a more of a difficult seam, because it's such a small piece, and they didn't really. There's a lot of pieces coming together all at once to kind of make this whole body. You've got the side piece, then you got the front going on here. There's the whole back. These two separate back pieces. Everything's got to come together and fit perfectly. So this seam wasn't as perfect as so it's going to take a little bit extra to make it right. So that's why I used some CA glue to fill that gap, and I'll sand that down and paint that this week. One of the cool parts here is the actual head section. I didn't press this all the way down onto. There's a little ball joint there so you can swivel this around, but I have to remove this because I'm going to have to put there's some detail work and a decal on top of the head that I have to do. But this came out really nice. I got a clear lens on top. There's a little light in there. I didn't add any LEDs or anything. It's just the way it's painted. It's painted back paint, or the background is silver, and then the lens is just using clear orange on top of it. So I had to fix the antenna. That's done. And then also I've got these. These are the armor pieces that kind of go over the shoulders here. Those are also made to open, but there's a lot of little details inside there that I'm going to panel line as well. So let's talk about the anime paint scheme. So I've been practicing on this old kit. I'm going to reach down here and grab a few pieces. Okay, so I haven't done anything to this leg. This is the Hainu, the original Hainu from, I don't even know when, early 2000s, I think. And then the foot here, I did a little bit of black and kind of outlined there's a lot of the anime schemes also have this, kind of outlining every single detail. So I kind of did that, and I wasn't sure if I was going to use a dark blue or black on the side. So I did that as far as a shadow. You can kind of see it. It kind of acts as a shadow, but it's a little too dark. So I went ahead and did this side. Now this is what it looks like originally, pretty much without any paint on it. But as we roll this around, I use the gray and the black as some of that shadowing, and then these kind of glossy lines that they like to do. So that's what I was trying to do. So from this to this, pretty noticeable difference. Has that Borderlands highlight? Yeah, I guess you could use that as an example. I'm trying to go with just reproducing that kind of style. So this is why I use this test leg here, or test parts here, to kind of try out the different pens. Now, when I get to doing the actual kit, I'm going to try to do these pieces individually. This is all assembled and glued together, so it was kind of hard to get into the little grooves with some of the paint. That's why you're seeing some of the white show through here in the shadowing. But I think it kind of looks cool. And then, like I said, what I'll do is I'll go over and gloss coat this to try to level out all of those different layers. And that way you're not going to see any of those, going to see the differentiating lines between the layers of paint. That's the whole point. But ultimately, it will probably be flat coated like this. This is all dried flat, so it looks nice. And I'll end up doing the entire thing in a flat final flat coat, basically. So anyway, that was my little test. I'm still going to practice doing this. This is the set that I got. It's pretty big. It's got 29 colors in it. One interesting thing is some of these are wrapped up in, actually sealed in their own plastic, and then there are other ones that were not. I'm not sure why that is, but none of them were used. I opened them up, all the tips were dry and never used. So I was using this dark blue, black, a lighter, the light gray here, and the white. This is the purple color that I used on the leg that I'm considering using for the row. I'm going to try to practice on, a little bit on that hip joint area where it's not going to be seen, so I can kind of try some of these other colors and get an idea if they're going to work. But these are kind of nice. I haven't used them ever before, and they dry flat. So when you start out, but it's just they can be a little bit heavy. You got to be careful if you saturate the tip too much. There's a lot of paint there. So, but I did try outlining all of the the different lines. Another thing I did get was, and I haven't been able to find the one that I want. I have a couple of these Gundam markers, these are the fine tip pens. But this is also another set. These are Copic multiliner, and this is a 003, which is a ridiculously thin line. I mean, I don't even know if you can kind of see that. It's really, really thin. I bought these based on a video that I was watching. There's another artist online demonstrating his technique for recreating this kind of anime cell shade. And so that's why I bought the pens, because that's what he used. And I'm not sure what he used the really thin liner for. I'm going to have to go back and look at that video again. So yeah, I don't know, for a first try, I think this is kind of interesting. It looks definitely closer to that anime cell shade that I'm looking for. These aren't the colors that I'm going to be using for this. A little bit of the gray, probably the gray and black for sure on the Max Batteroid. But I want to make sure I get this right because it's really going to be hard to fix if I screw it up. So anyway, that's a look at that. How's everybody's week going so far? I'm on the Saturday schedule here, so I got Sunday, Mondays off here for the next 3 weeks. Sometimes it throws me off because I forget how quickly Wednesdays sneak up on me. And I wasn't sure what I was going to have done for this episode. That's why I didn't create the broadcast until I think it was Sunday it was Monday, I think. Enjoy the time off. Thanks. It's just, I work 4 Saturdays in a row, and then I'm off for 8. So it's kind of a nice schedule. I'm on the Saturday schedule right now for another 3 Saturdays. So then I go back to Monday through Friday. So it works out good. You see some of the little tests as I was getting the paint into those pens for the first time, trying out some of these colors. But I wasn't sure, how much I was going to get done. I started painting late. I was just kind of being lazy all week, and then I finally hunkered down and did all the priming in one day, and then I did most of the paint the next day. So here we are. Let me get my magnifiers on. What's up? Oh, you changed your name. You're no longer Forest Ghost, huh? You're going straight up, Mike. How's it going, Mike? Thanks for the assist though, because I have a hardest time remembering everybody's name. Not you so much, but for some reason I keep screwing Nick up every time he comes in. So I'm just going to use I'm just using Tamiya panel liner here, and I'm going to try to do as much as I can of this cockpit, and then some of the other pieces here. These are actually I'm not sure if I got them on the right sides, but they're shoulder pads that kind of go over each shoulder of the pilot when they're inside, and then there's another piece here which is kind of mounted directly in the back, but I've got details behind that I want to panel line first before I glue that in place. So how you doing, Mike? Good to see you as always. We're just getting started right now. I've got an entire almost piece of foam here with nothing but pieces painted in steel. This is a big plate that goes on the back of the main body where the backpack is kind of mounted. Well, it's not really a back. Yeah, I guess it's a backpack. It has the back thrusters. It's not a really huge piece, but it does mount to the back. In fact, you see right here where I have this. I'm using this. That's where that big piece goes, and then the rest is this backpack just kind of mounts on the top portion here. Doing good. That's awesome. Good to hear. Good to hear. So we had a company celebration since they didn't really do a Christmas party this year. They postponed it and did a celebration here in February. We just had that on Friday last week. And yeah, I got some cool stuff, man. It was a casino night, so you got to use your chips, and you gave you a little bit of cash to play around with, and then at the end of the night, you got to use your whatever cash, whatever chips or tickets you traded it in for tickets, and then got to use those in a live auction and actually bid on stuff. So my wife told me, she goes, I'm not going to gamble. She gave me her money. It was like $2,000. They start you out with $2,000 of play money essentially. And then she goes, whatever you do, just go up to the roulette wheel and throw something on a number, whatever you want to do just before the night's over. Just whatever you do, just do that for me. I'm okay, fine. So we're getting down to the end of the night, and I took everything I had, and I did pretty good because I'm a fairly decent blackjack player. If a friend of mine years ago taught me how to kind of observe, when you're dealing with multiple decks like that and something like that, you can't really count the cards as much and see, and predict what's kind of come up, but you can to an extent. Anyway, so I did pretty well, and I had quite a few chips in. I decided at the last minute I'm going to walk up to the right where I put everything on red. Just like, I'm just going to, it's nearly 50-50 chance. Not quite, but almost 50-50. Put everything on red, and wouldn't you know, bam, I hit it. I'm wearing a watch. No, I'm not wearing it yet, but I am. This is it here. This was the watch that I ended up winning. It's very nice. I'm not wearing it. I will wear it for nice occasions. The thing is, I can't wear it at work. My type of work is, there's just no way, especially a watch with a metal band of any kind. I don't even wear rings because, there's just too many opportunities for snagging it on something, or, if you've ever seen what happens with a metal watch band and when you get it stuck to a battery, just ask my late father how that worked out for him when he had a pattern of the band of that watch tattooed to his wrist. It was not fun. But anyway, so I hit what I thought was initially, because they were handing tickets out, and they were handing raffle tickets out to match, whatever chips you had at the end of the night. So they gave me 63 pairs of tickets. I thought I only had 63,000 because each one was worth 1,000. But what I didn't realize, it was both sides of the raffle ticket, so each one was worth 1,000. So I actually had 126,000. Not realizing, like I said, I thought I only had 63, half of that. So they had some hockey tickets. I tried to get those. I thought I got outbid. What's up, Tom? How you doing? Welcome in. So we're just doing some panel lining the inside of this cockpit. There's going to be quite a bit here to clean up when I'm done. I'm sure I'm going to go through quite a few Q-tips. But so anyway, this watch comes up, and a few people are bidding on it, and it gets up to about 50,000, and then I just yell 63, and ended up winning the watch. Well, then I give them the tickets because they got to verify my tickets, right? So I give them the tickets, and then they hand me a bunch back, and I thought, well, what is this for? And then the lady goes, no, these are 2 each. Oh man! So I had 126,000 worth in tickets rather than 63, which I thought I had. So I got to bid on something else, and anyway, then at the end there, they were giving away some PTO. 20 hours of PTO, and I won that too. So I got 20 hours of PTO and a nice watch. I mean, we've got the Hasegawa Rau on the way. Nice, Tom. So Tom says, here, let me put this on the screen, because one of the things that's I noticed about live streams is it's easy for me to read the comments without, just under my breath here, and nobody else can really see what's going on later on when they watch this live stream. So I like to try to read them out loud, at least so people can hear, or if they don't, see it on screen later on if they watch this at a later date. So that's awesome. It's a nice kit. Excuse me. I liked it. I like it so far. The internal structure is kind of interesting the way they did it. But there's only a few. I mean, it's Hasegawa. It's not Bandai by any means, meaning that, there are a few seams you got to attend to, but it's not bad. I think they really did a good job designing it, and I do like the fact that they finally took an interest in utilizing multiple colored runners. Still not doing like Bandai where you have 4 different colors on one runner, but at least you've got this one had red, pink, black, and I think gray. I know there was white for sure. Maybe I'm thinking white, but you got the original. Yeah, I have that one too. I have the Bandai, and I actually painted it in Maria's paint scheme. But again, that was an old kit, and it was all hand painted garbage. It's really bad. I mean, compared to what I'm producing now, it's just I'm not saying that to be a smart ass or anything. It's just like this was stuff we did when we were new. When I was new, and I just didn't know any better. I didn't have an airbrush. I didn't even know that you could thin Tamiya paint. I was hand painting with Tamiya acrylics, which is the worst, and then I was thinning it with water. I mean, I was just doing so many things wrong because I just didn't know any better. So right now we're just putting the initial panel line wash down on the interior of this cockpit, and then I'll have to go back and clean all this up. It isn't Bandai though, but it's a good one. Oh, okay. So there's another third party, huh? Or another other than Bandai. I was thinking Bandai only had the only Rau originally. Or at least the Queadluun Rau, but I think it was molded in like green plastic for like the old, the TV version grunt suit essentially, which I'm hoping, and I think I'm almost certain Hasegawa is going to come out with that one later on, because there are some extra parts on the runner or the runners, and they would indicate that there's going to be a grunt suit version of it eventually. They just came out with the Miria version first. Bandai may have brought the molds. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Did I read that right? Bandai may have bought the molds. Gotcha. So you're talking about like a MI or one of those old Macross kits? That's going way back. If you're talking that old. Bandai says that they may have bought the molds. I mean, George says that Bandai may have bought the molds. I never know. I don't keep up on that stuff as much. There's some people that would be able to just, pull out their encyclopedia and go, oh yeah, this company bought this on this date and this time, and it's like I just, when I was a kid, I was just buying models that I thought looked cool, and of course I was seduced by the Harmony Gold and the U.S. version of Robotech and stuff like that. That's what got me into Japanese anime. And later, of course, all the Macross stuff. But so that was my exposure, and those were the things that, the terminologies and the names of things I didn't. This was back. You could buy. Revell was making the Robotech changers and stuff like that. I ordered the Gouache from George. You ordered the Gouache. What did you order? Which one did you order? Tom, I'm curious. Is it the Moscato one, or are you talking about a different one from Bandai? Both are Bandai releases. So is that the Tom? You're talking about the Gouache now? Is that a Bandai release as well? There's a lot of detail in this cockpit. It's taken a long time to get through all these. Got a majority of this, and it looks like a mess right now because it really is. I'm just dropping this panel line color in there, and I'm going to go back and clean it all up here in a bit. It will look really nice when I'm done. 1/100, yeah. Yeah, I have the original gouge too. In fact, I brought it out a few episodes ago when I got the new Moscato 172 gouge in, and that's a beast. That's a monster of a kit. And I got that in the mail, so I was kind of doing a size comparison on the leg sections just when I, during the broadcast. I'm not sure what I was building. I think I finished the tank. I was on it was probably the Super Jerry, the machining Krieger kit that I was doing at the time, but I can't remember. I have to go back and look. But I did bring out the two kits side by side on some of the parts just to see how big that the Moscato kit is. The only thing I'm dreading on that is naturally all the defects and stuff that I have to address because it's a garage kit. It's not mass produced. There's only a certain number made, and the molds can have some issues. This one looks a little bit better than the Tomahawk when it first arrived, but still going to have to do quite a bit of repair. In fact, I even have to bake some of the parts to post cure them, which is new for me. Moscato 148. The gouge, no, the Tomahawk was 148, George, but the gouge is 172. Gosh, can you imagine 148 gouge? That would just be huge. Take up this entire workbench. No, we went back to 17, or he went down to 172 for that, just basically because I don't know, but I think 148 would be too big. It was going to be nice seeing that next to a 172, especially this Queadluun Rau. That's a 172, and the Max batteroid's 172. So those will all be in scale. It'd be nice to see them side by side. Whoa, what's up? You're in Renton? My brother? Is that my brother? Together We Roll, in case anybody's wondering. That's my brother's YouTube channel. They do a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing online. Got a really massive digital board. I guess if I'm saying it wrong, correct me, but it's like almost three-dimensional the way it's done with the display on the board. On the board is pointed up, so you can change the scenery underneath. I don't know. It's kind of complicated. But you're in Renton, huh? Oh, for business. Well, that's not. You're close. You're pretty close to me. Hey, you got to stop looking at sites. This is the last purchase I'm going to make. Yeah, Tom. You say that. You say that now. Well, good to have you, Dave. I appreciate it. My brother David's in the house. This is Together We Roll. Check out his YouTube as well. If you're into that, if you're into role playing, that's ROLE, not RO. Wait. Yeah, it's ROLE, not RO. I don't know what I'm saying. Forget what I'm saying. It's for role playing, not ROLL. That's what I was going to say. It's ROLE. Okay, I think I got pretty much all of this disaster's worth of lines in here. So we're going to give those a second. And then we'll start cleaning them up with some. I use AK odorless enamel thinner. This stuff's awesome, and it is exactly that. It does not have an odor to it. It's really nice, but it is enamel based, so it will clean up these panel lines really nicely. And then, of course, as always, I use the Daiso blue double-sided Q-tips. These have a point and a rounded end on them. I'm hoping there's a Daiso store in Redmond here, and I'm hoping I forgot to go in it. I was actually going to the Hobby Town in Redmond when I saw it, and I forgot to go back and look for it or look in the store. But I was hoping that the Daiso store there has more of these, because a friend of mine in Canada sent me a bunch a few years back, and I've been slowly working through them, as well as giving some away. Sometimes when I have friends that are starting out and they want some supplies, I kind of kick them back a few things and get them started. And yeah, role playing, that's right. Tetsujin is here as well. Is that who is Tetsujin? I know who you are. I just can't remember. Oh, gosh, forgive me. If you're willing to tell us your real name, let me know. Because I bet you I'm going to kick myself once you tell me. All right. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to let that sit there and dry for a second. I've already done the seams on the arms. I'm going to just sand this down a little bit. It's really the only place I have left to do is just the front of these legs on both sides. So I'm going to take care of those real quick. I'm going to do some multitask here, hopefully. So I'm just going to use, this is my 240 sponges, and because these, the fit was pretty good, I shouldn't have too much here to do. You're a man of mystery. All right. Fair enough. I'm sure I'll find out later, and then I'll be like, damn it, I knew that. I think that's one of the cool parts about doing these, is that a lot of people in this room know each other, and everybody comes in, everybody's saying hi, how's it going? You know, it's a nice tight-knit community we have here. So there's a little bit of primer in the seam, which is great, because that's just filling that. I got a little bit left I got to take off here, and then I'll go back and polish it with my finer grits. Close to putting paint on the main body of the F-16. Nice, Tom. Is that what you primarily do, or is this just a plain kit for sake of doing a jet? I don't know exactly if that's your preference. You know, if you're a sci-fi builder like myself or anime builder, everybody's got their own preference. I'm trying to do a little of everything, especially lately. Typically, I was more like this stuff, you know, doing Gundam and anime, Macross, But then I started, you know, I dabbled. I did an armor kit, did a commission Warhammer kit, a couple of those. Just kind of fill some gaps in the rear. Yeah, that's always fun with aircraft kits. There's usually a few gaps that have to be addressed. Okay, I think that's pretty smooth. I'm going to go ahead and knock it down the rest of the way with my 400. But I did the Abrams tank kit with a bunch of photo etch on that. I have I think I have one more tank. I have a main battle tank for Gundam in my backlog. Okay, so that's good. When I was gluing this, the reason some of that primer got in there is because I actually pulled it back apart. I didn't have enough glue in there to create that little bit of a bead that we like to see so much and help seal those seams off. So I actually kind of pulled it apart, and then I put more glue in there to get that bead. The only thing I am concerned about is right here, there's a raised, you can kind of see the line here. It's a 1/4 inch or so. It goes all the way around the top. So there's a little bit of that seam still might be right where those two converge. So I'm just going to take my chisel here, and this is a 4mm chisel. I'm just going to kind of scrape. Yeah, I can kind of feel it. I'm just going to use it to to just essentially file down that last tiny little bit that I couldn't get with the sanding sponge. Let's see, I missed a couple here. Zip kicker smell, love it or hate it. I don't know. What is zip kicker? Is that like a CA glue, or is that a thinner, Mike? The easiest kits are Gundams. Yeah, so Bandai's kind of done that for us. They we get spoiled by that. By the way, their engineering is next level. I like planes, Macross, Gundams, some cars, and my least favorite are tanks and ships. Well, I'm with you on ships. I haven't done one of those yet. I won a couple in a raffle at an IPMS event. So I do have a couple of them here. I did give a couple away to friends and stuff like that, but I have one or two that had some nice photo etch. So I thought one of these days, maybe I will go after this ship. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm still yet to do a car. I did cars along when I was a kid, but not at this level of model building until now. So I have a Tamiya LFA in my backlog that it comes with some photo etch too. It's a really nice kit. So that one is also staring at me in there, and I'm going to have to take that out of the closet here sometime. And accelerator, CA accelerator, interesting. I was asking about the zip kicker, so that's what it's called, huh? Zip kicker, and it's an accelerant. I use the Bob Smith stuff, the Instaset. I bought a large refill bottle here rather than buying the little tiny ones. I figured I used enough of it that might as well get a big one. First kit you ever worked on with is my favorite, which was, I think, a 132 F14. Wow, that's big. And that you were 9? Wow, that's a huge kit, because I just did the Tamiya 148, and that's big enough. 132, man, that's massive. One of the things I do remember from my childhood was one of the times, I can't remember what the scale was, but it was a huge F4 Phantom kit that we had. And of course, it was probably built like crap. We were just kids. We didn't know any better. And but either it was my dad or one of the somebody we knew went to Mexico and bought a bunch of illegal fireworks, and so we had some M80s and something like that. Well, we decided, what would be a good idea? Let's put an M80 up the tailpipe of this F4 Phantom. It was probably a 132, like you're saying. It was big. It was a big kit. So we put this M80 up the tailpipe of this F4 Phantom, and I hid behind a palm tree. I was afraid. I can't remember how old I was. I was probably 7 or 8 or something. Anyway, this thing blew up, and we were finding parts of it on the other side of the house. I mean, it was crazy. You had a 116 Ferrari Testarossa. Yeah, that's a pretty big, decent sized kit too. Actually, 116 or 112. Was it 112? Anyway, you tell me. It's your story. I'm just making shit up. Then I experienced my first Gundam kit in '94, which was the 1100 F91. Nice. I can't remember when I got my first Gundam kit, although I probably didn't even realize what it was until later on when I started building again on a regular basis, because I still had it in my, I was still taking it with me, and a couple of times I moved. These were all model kits I took along with me as I, relocated throughout the years. And a couple of them were Gundam. But like I said, I just didn't realize. And most of the time, that's what I tell people. It's just like, I just build stuff that looks cool. I go to the store. I don't know I haven't watched all the DVDs. I haven't watched all the series. I don't know a lot of the history. If it looks cool to me and I want to build it, I build it. I buy it, I build it. Ew, monogram. Ugh, brutal. You're right. Ferrari was a 112. Yeah, I was wondering about it because most cars are about 112 scale unless you get into the really big stuff. I did a 112 scale motorcycle, which was pretty large. That was a kit I did for my dad years ago. He had an old Honda. In fact, he gave it to me at one point in our lives. He gave me his motorcycle. He had a 1980 Honda CB750, and he gave that to me one year. And so, as a gift to him, later on when I started building models again, I found this 112 scale. It was 112. No, it was 1/6. It was a 1/6 scale CB750, and I built that for him. Gave it to him. That was pretty cool. Don't know what happened to it. I think he lost it or got rid of it or something throughout the years. So it disappeared for some reason. Anyway, I got most of the seams done now on these. So what I'm going to do next, I'm not going to do it here tonight, but I'm going to have to wrap this in parafilm so this doesn't get touched. I have to mask off this back steel section here. So then I can go back and hit these again with primer. Make sure that my seams are good. I had a couple little sink marks here. I was actually from using too much glue. There's in this internal structure, there are pinholes that go through here, and I must have put too much glue in the holes, so it kind of caused sink marks where those were. And I went ahead and addressed that. I filled them with some that liquid. You know what it's called. Thinned out putty, thin putty, liquid putty, whatever we call them. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Now it's a 124, mostly 124. Oh, okay, yeah. The thing that got me back into building again, because I took a long break. Life gets in the way, stuff like that. But it was the 112 scale Tamiya motorcycles. That's what hooked me again and started when I started building those. And I mean, they had little tubes and hoses for the ignition wires and every little cool thing on the engines. I thought, this is awesome. So that's why I started doing it. And then later on, the rest is history. Started doing Gundam and all that other stuff again. I still have a bunch of model kits. In fact, the reason I did is because I work in the auto industry, and I befriended some guys that owned a hobby store once when I lived in California. And originally they were selling models and stuff like that. Eventually they turned into a paintball store. But I worked on their cars, and as payment of some of the things I did for them, they would just give me model kits. They go, here you go, pick some out, pick about 4 or 5 of them out. And so I got a lot of Macross kits from them. The original Bandai variables, the variable kits, the ones that transformed, and had those for a lot of years. Sold most of them because eventually, Bandai came out with redesigned, newer versions, but that were a little bit more sturdy, not so. Proportions, I think, were a little bit better posability and stuff like that. So they made some improvements over the years, and so I wanted to update my stash with some of that newer stuff, and that's what I did. Let's do that a little bit. Actually, I'm going to do that now before I forget. I got to put a little bit more of the panel lining here on these. That new 112 Tamiya Honda DAX 125 looks super cool. Is that a motorcycle? It sounds like it is. That's why I'm curious. I built one of the cool ones was an experimental Honda. It was the NR750. Honda had this idea that they wanted to build a four-stroke motor that could compete with 2 strokes on the track. Well, the only way for them to do that was to build like a V8 motor, a motorcycle engine. We can't do that, of course. So they got it. I mean, I don't know who designed this thing, but think about, they literally designed and built a 4-cylinder engine with oval pistons that essentially made each piston 2 cylinders. But they were shaped like like this. They weren't round. You could have had 2 round ones, but they had this oval, elongated piston, 4 of them. So essentially, they made an 8-cylinder motorcycle engine, but it was technically only 4. And I'm not sure it was successful as far as like on the track, but certainly technological wonder. Just to be able to pull that off. The thing was, it was just extremely heavy. I think that's why it wasn't super successful on the track. It was just too heavy at that point. But to re-engineer, a motorcycle engine like that and produce the power it got and everything like that with, back in that time. I mean, this was probably 80s and early 90s, maybe. I don't know. It just amazes me. So that was one of my favorite motorcycle models. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, I got to build this. And of course, it was a nice Tamiya model, so it's very detailed. You got a Kawasaki Ninja H2 in the backlog. See, that's cool. I love those motorcycles, man. Especially the Tamiya ones, man. They just got all those cool little details. And the last one I built was a Monster Energy. I think it was a Kawasaki. Was it Kawasaki? I can't remember which. I mean, I can turn around and look. It's just in my cabinet, but and I still hand painted, but I was using Tamiya, and I got pretty good at hand painting to where the gloss looked pretty good. The paint looked good. And I took some pictures once, and I remember showing them off, going, "Yeah, man, I just built this motorcycle." And my friends were like, "Wow, I didn't realize you were into that kind of thing," because they thought the way I took the angle of the pictures and everything, they thought it was a real bike. I was like, it's only about 4 inches long, 5 inches long. What? Be right back. Okay, Tom, no worries. We will be here for another half an hour, maybe a little over half. Looks like we're coming up to 7 o'clock my time. Just cut the end off of this Q-tip. Gonna start a new. Actually, I got one that I just started using the other day. I'll start that one. Got most of this cleared up already. It's kind of looking nice now because now you can see those little details without that mess. So I'll keep plugging away here. Not too concerned about the interior because, again, I'm not planning on seeing it much, although I will clean it up and I will make it look nice in case, for whatever reason, I put the pilot figure in here. But I'm not planning on using it just based on the scene that I'm trying to recreate. I did think, well, what if I go a little bit later in the movie where Max defeats Miria and she's laying there and he's looking at her and saying how beautiful she is, whatever. So maybe I should do that. I could put the pilot figure in there and have her laying there, but the pilot figure in this kit is not really. I mean, there's no way to take the helmet off. There's just not a lot of things that are going to work that way, so I'm just not going to do it. Mini bike. Oh, a mini bike. I have a few old. So Tom says, I have a few old 1/100 Macross 7 transformer kits. Wow, Macross 7, huh? Yeah, I love the variable kits. That, in fact, when back we're talking about Revell earlier, and in the 80s when it was Robotech, and all that stuff. Revell had the Robotech changers, and that's where I found the first variable kit from them, and I'm not even realizing that it was Macross. I just thought this is sweet, But yeah, it was. To my surprise, and then I painted it like the box art because they had actually altered the paint scheme a little bit for whatever reason, copyright or whatever they did. And so I painted it like the box art. And then I actually, later on when I started drawing, I was an art, I still am, but I was an artist, drawing. I used to draw anime and stuff like that. And so then I would just pose my model kits and then draw them, That's what I did. Rather than, freehanding it at the time, it was the way to get started in doing that was just to pose the extra model kit and draw it. That's what I did. My daughter picked it up. She started doing anime too when she was younger. She got that from me. All right. So I'm going to cut the tip off. This is done with this one too. Hey, what's up, Craig? How you doing, man? Good to see you again, as always. Oh, Craig, you just did that awesome Y-wing, didn't you? Let me show this now. So here's the interior. Now, of course, I haven't flat coated this yet. It's still a little glossy, but looks good now that all those panel lines inside are looking nice. Get that center frame more. I had a guy hit me up today. He was asking, he just kind of pinged me out of nowhere. It's one of these hit me on messages and was saying like, hey, you a Macross painter? I'm like, yeah, among other things, yes. But he was trying to sell me some model kits. He says, what software do you use to design them? I said, well, I don't design them. I'm a scale model builder, man. I know nothing about software design and stuff like that. So it sounds like he designs and builds his own kits out of plastic and with articulation. So it sounds like it's got promise, but I'm yet to see. I'll see what he comes up with later on. Maybe we can feature him in a future broadcast or something. So that's good. That's good. I'm gonna let's see. I think what I'll do next, now that I got this torso piece done. Later, Mike. Okay, bud. I'll watch you tomorrow morning if I don't catch you when you're on. Good to have you, George. Thanks for stopping in, man. As always. All right, we're going to do some paneling here on these. Gotta fly. Lunch break is over. You're on lunch? Wow, you working late. Working the night shift, huh? Take care, buddy. All right, Craig. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate you. All right. Still here, but saying goodbye to the other mic. Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying. I forget there's more than one. It's all about me, George. When you say Mike, I'm thinking it's me. I almost got my feelings hurt there a second ago. I thought George is leaving my broadcast early. He never does that. Remember those old coffee commercials? He never does that at home. George never leaves early. Well, good. Glad you're still here. But I do appreciate you nonetheless. So I'm just throwing some, got a little too heavy there. A little bit of a panel lining on these little shoulder armor pieces that go over the shoulders, the cockpit. I might as well do the brackets too, because all this is going to be visible if you open them up. All right, so we'll just It's kind of an interesting hinge that they use here. One side has a poly cap, the other side does not, and it just kind of fits in there. I mean, it's still, once it's installed, it's great. It's just kind of tricky getting it to sit flat. By the way, been using your recommended bug PE. Yes, I know. I saw that this morning too, George. I appreciate that. I love that thing. It's called the Bug, little photo etch bender. It's too bad, I think I learned from you too that they were no longer in business, which kind of sad because I was rather happy with, still am, with that photo etch bender. I didn't buy because I don't need a really elaborate bender for doing, unless you're doing like shipbuilding all the time and you're bending a lot of handrails and complex curves and stuff like that. So it's a good little tool. It's a nice little simple, but it gives you several choices on what you can I like the way you're able to turn it and use different sides based on what it is you're trying to accomplish. And I've used it on several kits. The very first time I think was the Macross, the SDF1 movie edition. When I did that build, that was the first time I bought it or used it. I've used it on several kits since then with the photo etch. And especially the stuff that you're doing, George, because you're actually taking brass and making your own strips and doing the bending of that. So you're not even using photo etch from a kit. You're actually making your own, which is impressive. So with the tiny things you making for the tank, I think next you're gonna go into 1/100 tanks. Even smaller, huh? You're trying to make them go blind. 172 is small enough for an armor kit. Does the SDF1 movie edition come with etch parts? No, but Hasegawa makes makes a photo etch kit for it. The only thing I'm not certain of, and I bought extras because I have the fast attack version and the cruising mode one. The photo etch is made for the cruiser mode, not the fast attack or attack version, because some of the pieces are slightly different shaped, especially like the leg sections. They're not quite tapered the same way. So I'm not sure all of the photo etch is going to work for that. I do know that some of the pieces are the same, like probably the armor 10s that are there. If those are identical, which they should be, wouldn't be any reason not to have them. Then some of the photo etch should work for that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much it does. I've only built the one in cruiser mode. I didn't build fast attack version yet to see if that's going to work. So we'll find out. I imagine I'll be able to use some of it, just not all of it. So yeah, no thanks, Tom. 172 is fine for me. Yeah, he's not going. I told you he doesn't want to go blind. Just let's see. Sean. Oh, Sean's in. How you doing, Sean? Ooh, nice to see you working on it. Yeah. Oh, I met you earlier today, didn't I? Yep. Yeah, we were talking earlier when I was at work. Now I'm here, and we're doing some panel lining. I'm doing some seam fixing, and we were talking about anime paint schemes. And I did bring some pieces out. If you guys want to see that again, because I'm sure some people didn't get to see it, but I wonder if I should do. I probably could do this. I've got front head section here, and I didn't press this on all the way because I do have to put a decal on and do some other detail work to it. So I may just save that for later. I'm just kind of nervous about doing. Really kind of nervous about doing the anime paint scheme on this because I've not done it on a kit before. So I don't want to screw it up. That's why I was practicing on an old kit, just because. That way, if I do make a mistake, or at least I can learn from it and apply it to this kit without doing the same thing. But one of the things that's kind of a little bit reassuring is that, you know, the style of paint that I'm trying to reproduce, it's okay to make, you know, I have lines that maybe not be perfectly straight because you know, the anime was hand drawn. That's the way it was done. So it's not gonna hurt it too much to have little imperfections here and there. So it will actually fit right in. It'll look just like the real thing, and that's what I'm going for. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So if I do make a mistake, I'll just say it was part of the anime. So just cleaning up these shoulder bits. As I get more of this together with paint, I'll be able to do more of these panel lines. But the markings are yet to be determined, only because, you know, another thing I've noticed too is, like, in the anime, typically a lot of the markings aren't present in the drawings or in the actual scene. You know, of course, the artwork and stuff like that, yeah, you'll see all the markings, decals, stuff like that. But the actual renders, the drawing renders, you know, don't have any of those markings on them. So I may not put all of them on. I'm going to put most of them on, but this, particularly with like the Max batteroid, I'm not going to put the 1500 no-step decals all over the wings and everything like that. It's just not necessary. If I was going for a realistic looking, you know, weathered kit, yeah, I would do that. But for these purposes, because I'm trying to create an anime look, I'm gonna forgo some of that. Love the models, hate the anime. It's all over the place. I know I'll get hate for it. You're not a child of the 80s then. Just saying. Maybe you are. I don't know. I will admit, like, when I first, you know, I started talking about Macross, I was like, you know, I wish they'd just stop all the damn singing, you know, so much of that. And then my friends were like, well, that's what Macross is. So if you're, I just want to see, you know, I want to see the fights. That's all I want to see. You know, I want to see the sides clashing. I want to see the action. That's that kind of thing. I want to see somebody singing a love song. But again, that's what Macross is. Just me being ignorant about it, I guess. So I haven't checked recently. I should go in and look at my my Facebook page and see if any more videos got flagged from Facebook. It's kind of comical. Can't say certain things. Oh well. Okay, we'll let those dry. Now that I've taken all the excess, oops, I almost lost my tips here. Singing is like half the story. Yes, I know. And I realize that now, but it was just me going, I want to see stuff, you know, I want to see action. I want to see, it's like a video game, you know, or, you know, if I'm playing a video game, I want to be blowing stuff up in the first 5 minutes. You know, otherwise I get bored with it. It's like, don't give me an RPG, you know, a role-playing game where I have to build my character and level up all my stuff. After a while, I'm just tired of the dialogue. I need to be moving around and doing cool stuff. I like the music, especially in the Macross movie. Yeah, it is good. The Macross movie for sure is an improvement on that for sure. But think about what you know now, George, watching the movie. But what did you know in the 80s? When we were watching it as a kid, watching the anime, going, "What is this?" I just want to see cool robots, doing cool stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and start sanding down this CA that I used for this gap filler here. I'm going to have to mask off quite a bit here so I can repaint this section. Just downloaded Helldiver 2. Sweet action. Nice. George, weren't you talking about Helldiver in some way, shape, or form? Can't remember. I thought you mentioned it on one of your live streams. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I might be wrong on that. I don't know. All right. This is getting nicer. A little bit less. Still need to take down a little more, and then I'll use my sponges to smooth it out. This was the bad side. There's two sides to this seam, and this one was quite a bit larger gap. Yeah, that feels good. Maybe not. Maybe a little bit more. I could still feel it with my fingernail. But if I use my sponge here, I should be able to. I'm assuming you're commenting on comments of Facebook Live. Yes. About flagged stuff? Yeah. Last week I talked about it. I did a little PSA because I was just thinking how I went back and watched the videos that they had question or that were in question, trying to figure out what it was, because they don't tell you specifically, because it's just an algorithm. It's not there's nothing that says this is what you did wrong, this is what was said, whatever, this is what we saw. Nothing. It's just two of your videos might contain content considered to create an unsafe environment, blah blah blah. No wonder I was having a hard time. I was using the wrong damn sanding stick on that. So I went back and watched them, and then I figured out probably what it was. And it was just, I was talking about other stuff, but when you use certain words in a certain context, and that's the thing, it was taken out of context. And it's just an algorithm hanging around waiting to pick up certain keywords, regardless of how they're being used. Anyway. So, but I haven't checked to see if anything else got picked up. All bug hunts and robo destruction. Yes, you are correct, sir. I saw the movie first time on a 24-inch TV, multi-generation VHS tape. Wow. Dude, I didn't speak Japanese, so I would have. Yeah, fortunately, when I first saw the movie, Macross the movie, a friend of mine, the guy that introduced me to it, his dad was Japanese or spoke Japanese. So he did a lot of the translation for us. And so I kind of knew what they were saying. It made it easier to watch. But yeah, it definitely helps knowing what's going on. At least the DVD that I have now, I have a Blu-ray of it, and it has subtitles, but it's in Japanese, because I prefer the Japanese was English subs over English dub, because the English dub version was horrible. Oh my God. If you guys ever watched what was called Clash of the Bionoids, that was the English dub version of Macross the movie, and it was so bad. The recording sounded like they recorded. It sounded like they were doing their lines in a bathroom with tile walls that made it echo. It was so bad. I'm not joking. Yeah, I saw it on VHS tape as well, because that's all you had back then. We didn't have DVD back in those days. Blu-ray didn't exist. DVD didn't exist. It was everything. VHS was it, man. I still feel a little bit of a ridge there. I have to take off a little more. Agreed. Prefer subs over dubs any day. Yep. And the first time years ago, I'd probably say, no, man, I want English dub. But the problem with it was, I'm going back to that English dub version of Macross. They weren't, it's when you get a Japanese actor doing his lines for a Japanese movie, there's so much more emotion, and so it's so much more believable than an English dub who's just reading a script and not looking, not actually, maybe not even seeing the scene that's on screen and seeing the emotion that has to go along with those lines. That's what it was. It was so bad. It was so bad. I can name like 10 things already that were so horribly bad in that movie. Anyway, unless you're lucky enough to have Laserdisc. Oh yeah, I remember those. Nope, not me. Did not have a Laserdisc player. All right, folks, we're going to start wrapping things up here shortly. So, I got all the paneling done. I've got these seams now sealed and ready for paint, so I'm going to have to mask off quite a bit here. I'll probably just do a fairly decent block mask, no, I don't have to do every single little surface, just basically seal off this area and then control my airbrush in a direction that's, I'll have to mask off these two steel panels here that are done in steel, but then I can repaint this, these two little seams here, and that should be the end of it. I think I've got all the seams done at that point. So let's see. You own the original Macross TV series on Laserdisc back in the day. No English, paid. And I've seen them out for it. Yeah, I can imagine. I actually, I probably still have them too. This is what's crazy. I recorded every episode of the TV series on Betamax, man. Now, you want to talk about old school. All the kids in the room are going to be like, what's Betamax? Well, Betamax, let's see if I remember right, Sony owned the rights to VHS. Beta was owned by somebody else. I might have this backwards. Anyway, those were the two companies vying for the videotape industry, kind of like the monopoly of it. And anyway, VHS won out in the end, and Beta never took off. But Beta always had better picture quality, I thought. Yeah, Beta, that's cool, right? Dub actors are also expected to match the cadence, lip flaps, blah blah blah. Yeah, I get it, but they just didn't. The English dub version was horrible. It was so bad. Beta died because they refused to do it. That is true. I forgot about that. They refused to do that. They refused to do adult movies, and that's why Beta said no, or Beta didn't make it. That's true. Sony owned Beta. Okay, so I had was it Panasonic then? I can't remember who owned VHS, but anyway, I do remember they were talking about the adult film industry, and Betamax or Beta refused to do those kind of films, and that's what ultimately caused their downfall. It's kind of sad, but true. All right, so let's go back to just the down look here. I'm going to zoom out a bit, a little bit more of the room. All right, so I've got to do a few more panel lines on these pieces here. These are some of the interior parts of the cockpit. I got 3 more to do. 5 minutes, I might be able to. Yeah, we'll take care of those this week. So plan for next week. Let's see here. I'm going to finish principal paint for the row. Then I've got to reprime. I got to prime these again and check my seams one more time on the arms. I will stuff some foam in these places here around, so those will not get any paint, or those were painted black already, so they won't get any primer or anything else in those when I repaint these. And if they're good, I will paint them red and be done with that. And then it'll just be the final assembly of this part. I've also got to start priming the Max batteroid, so I'm going to try to do that this week as well in the meantime before the next broadcast. So I'm not sure where we're going to be if I'm still in paint. So this is where it's kind of hard for me to say this is what we're going to do next week, because I don't know where I'm going to be in a few days. So there's a lot of this stuff. Some of it goes together quickly and some of it doesn't. I do need to also prime these as well and mask off the upper leg portion here and the back of this. Back of the calf, I guess is what you'd call that. And then everything else is painted with their base colors. I got the pink for a lot of these circular places. Those are all done. The black is done. All the primary colors are down. It's just a few of these little details like the seams and stuff I had to fix. That's left to do for this kit, and then I'll focus more on the batteroid. And then it's going to be building a massive base. So that's another thing to tackle on another day. I will also. I'm not going to assemble. This is the thing I was noticing last night when I was playing around with that with this stuff with the anime here. And I'm going to go back to the close up so you can see this. So this is the leg pretty much as it is without any anime paint scheme on it. But like I said, as I rotated around, I started adding the shadows and the kind of those glossy lines that they like to use. I was trying to reproduce that, and I kind of like the way this came out. As a test, it does look nice. It's just it goes from model kit to, okay, bedtime. All right, Tom, I'm wrapping up here anyway, buddy. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. So from this to this is noticeably different, and I kind of like it. So that's what I'm going to do a little more practice on this. I might use the other leg and do some practice on it, and then before I apply it to this. So my point was, I'm not going to completely assemble this because I got to do a lot of the shadows all at once. I want to focus on a light direction, a direction of light, and make sure all the shadows are on the same place and they make sense, rather than painting each piece and then putting it together. Because I did the foot separately, then the leg. So as you can see, some of these lines don't line up. And had I planned it right, while I was messing around with this, I'd have made these lines transition and flow down through the kit. And that's what I want to do too. So take a little bit of planning, maybe even drawing using pencils to kind of draw some faint lines to kind of get the look of that. So that was called cell shading. Well, yeah, it is called cell shading. And that's what I'm trying to do. But there's different styles of that. So I'm trying to reproduce this, and I'll show you the screenshot that I brought up earlier. Well, where did that come from? Yeah, there. So this is Let me zoom back in again real close. So this is what I'm working with. And, you know, I've got the red. The primary red is going to stay that color, but I've got, you can see little pink accents on the shoulders, the arms. I've got all the colors, the base colors down to where, you know, the Hasegawa, the way they have it, their color guide. But I want to do the shadowing in this way to make it look like, you know, reproduce this. So that's what I'm going for. I'm going to do the same thing with the Max Batteroid. That one would be like right here. So we bring that up. See that? I mean, a little bit less. There's not a lot of color, different colors there because it's mostly white. There will be some in the blue areas on the chest, and even the micro missile pods there on the wings, because I did get those fitted and everything like that. So once I paint all that, then I can do the shadowing on that. But that's what I'm trying to do. Anywho. All right, everybody, let's go back here up to my face. Thank you, everyone, for coming in this week and hanging out with me and looking at part 4 of the I have a hard time saying it. Queadluun Rau Max Batteroid diorama. This is part 4. Next week will be part 5. We'll see where we're at. If I really don't have anything that we can talk about or work on then I'll pick another kid out of the stash and we'll snap something together. But I'm trying to plan this out and have content that you guys can enjoy and participate in as we go along with this journey. So, arg, what do you mean? Arg. Have an awesome night, brother. Yes, George, you too. Thank you again so much for coming in, hanging out. Appreciate each and every one of you. And as I always say, be good humans. And call your mom and dad. They'll love it. Trust me, they will. And anyway, I'm not going to stop saying that. I'm always going to say it. So yeah, be good humans. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you next time. Here is the outro. I think, yeah, this one here.